over, or with Johnny Manziel, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. The quarterback needs upgrading. And if that doesn't happen, this team is not going to win games. So that cautious optimism that I expressed in looking over this roster is tempered by the fact that this team needs a quarterback right now, not next year, not in the draft. They missed their chance in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drafts in a row to get a guy at an economic price that can play, because the people who are drafting did not have the vision. And several quarterbacks who can probably play in this league, I'm not saying they'll be superstars, but who can probably play in this league, did not have I would say, a fair chance to play. How long did Colt McCoy play? What, 5, 6 games? How long? I mean, in a row. How long did Brady Quinn play? 3, 4 games in a row? How long did Brandon Wheaton play? He was a young player, even though he was old chronologically, but he's not. If you've seen him this preseason with Dallas, he looks like a completely different man, completely different. And that's due to the fact that there's nobody behind him nipping at his heels. There isn't a fan base expecting him to be the savior of this football team. It's never happened for the Browns. They've had one superstar quarterback in their history, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Not Sipe, not Bernie, not Frank Ryan, not Bill Nelson, nobody. They've never had a great quarterback other than the first one. So why all of a sudden now does the quarterback have to be the linchpin, the greatest player in the history of the game for the Browns? It's irrational. And that's because the primary fan base for the Browns is young. They don't know about the Browns pre-'99. Now, that's hyperbole, but it's a fact. The Browns weren't good for a long stretch, from about 72 to 85. That's what it is. And then after they left, I mean, you know, they basically cut off the Cleveland Browns from 99 back. And now from 99 forward, that's what these guys recognize as Cleveland Browns football. Well, those of us who are older, I would say, I'm 54, probably about 44 onward, they know what real Cleveland Browns football looks like. Well, maybe they not know. Maybe they don't know with recollection. Like, I can remember a 1968 game against the Minnesota Vikings. I can remember the 1964 championship game. A lot of people can't, but that colors your perspective as to what is and what is not Cleveland Browns football. But like, one thing that really rankles me more than anything is play like a Brown. Play like a Brown doesn't mean courage and stamina and all that old crap. Play like a Brown is intelligence, is execution. It's no mistakes allowed. That's Cleveland Browns football. That's Cleveland Browns football as instituted by Paul Brown himself. That's play like a Brown. So when I hear play like a Brown, it's a noble undertaking by the Browns. Play like a Brown. But but it's not really play like a Brown, because the things I think about most are intelligence, execution, no mistakes allowed. And that comes from guys who played for Paul Brown, who I've had conversations with, who I can pick up a phone and talk to. Jim Brown, Warfield, Leroy Kelly, Ernie Green, all those guys who played on the last championship team, and some who played on championships before. I've talked to Lou Groza, Marion Motley, all of those guys. That's what the Cleveland Browns are about. And if the people who are running the Browns truly got in the books and, espouse those values on the football field, this will be a much better situation for all of us.
Man, this is why I'm glad to have you on the show with us here. Kendall Lewis, my man, joining us here on the Sports
Yeah,
Fix
because I can go off like a crazy old man, right?
I love it. No, I love it, and I'm with you. I am slightly younger than you, but I always consider myself lucky that I came up during the last good period for the Browns. So, my perspective is colored just like you said. At least I came up during the Bernie Kosar, the 80s on in through. So, I mean, after that, my son, I'm with you. He only knows what to be into and proud of the Browns because of myself and friends and my dad when he was around and all that stuff, because just like you said, he's seen the new Browns ever since, and there's so many people that just don't, that disconnect is there. You're absolutely right. And with the play like a Brown thing, I'm with you. I thought it was a noble attempt, but not only is it not characterized right, but I think they picked the wrong time, too. I mean, it's a noble thing, like you said, but, man, with the way they've played, it opens you up to so much, from the outside. It's such an easy one-liner to take. People do it to me all the time, every day. Yeah, play like a Brown. What does that mean? And, you know where they go with it. I'm like, man, sometimes waiting until you've turned the ship around is a better time to unleash a catchphrase like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what they're doing, and I believe that it's a good idea, because the guys that are coming in need to have something to aspire to, because let's face it, since 1999, there has been no attempt to say play like a Brown. Well, what does that mean? And they, at least to their credit, have tried to identify what that is, and I'll go along with that. I like the way Farmer has come in here in the beginning. I like the way Mike Pettin, I didn't know about Pettin at first, but I like the way he communicates with men. Treats you like a man, but be your friend too, hold you accountable. I like all of that. It needs some fine-tuning. They need more players before any of this can come to fruition. Now, given the fact that the NFL is the ultimate copycat and turnaround league, you can be last 1 minute and on top the next. I believe the Browns have a chance, but they're going to have to get extraordinarily good fortune from the quarterback position. Ben Tate is going to have a good season. He and Terrence West, and maybe they have to find somebody that they don't know is coming along, maybe an Isaiah Crowell or one of those young wide receivers to fill the gap of Josh Gordon when he's while he's gone. They're going to need good health. They're going to need so many things to go right for them that, it looks unlikely, but we see it every year. Somebody that's off the radar, off the grid, that comes to the fore. It could be the Browns. Why not the Browns? But certain people are going to have to take a great responsibility. And while I'm on that subject, I just want to address Brian Hoyer for a second. I think Brian Hoyer, if you listen to the media who was out at the practices, they all constantly told us throughout the OTAs and everything, well, Brian Hoyer is sharp. He don't look like he just hurt himself. You heard that narrative. And then when Johnny Manziel gets in the shells and the shorts, then they say, well, he's outplaying Manziel appreciably. It's not even close, and blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, the narrative changed.
Yep.
Johnny Manziel has closed the gap. How do you close the gap in shorts and shells? I played football. You don't close the gap in shorts and shells. You close the gap getting hit in the mouth. That's where you close the gap. And Manziel, they were saying, whoa, Johnny Manziel's just that close. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you tell me yesterday on the 6 o'clock news that the gap was so wide that Manziel wasn't going to get his foot in the door? Didn't you just tell me that? But see, that's what happens when your broadcasters are fans. See, you can't be a fan and be a broadcaster. You know why? Because you have to call a shot. The teams might not like it, the fans might not like it, but you don't give a rip because you're not going to let the fans go to the stadium and get blindsided. And that's why I love Jim Grainer. I love Gibbs Shanley. I love Nev Chandler because they weren't going to tell you what you wanted to hear. They were going to tell you what was right, what was true, what they saw. And I learned to cover football in this city from those men. Now, a lot of your listeners, some of them have never heard of those guys, but Gibb Shanley was the man. Gibb Shanley worked for the Browns, and if the Browns played bad, guess what? He'd tell you that. He wouldn't sugarcoat it. Same thing with guys like Joe Tate. If the Cavs were playing like crap, he'd say the Cavs are playing like crap. That's what he'd say on the radio. I'm going, really? That's what he said.
You're right.
That's how I learned how to call that shot. And see, I think part of that problem that we're having now with the national media inundating us with Johnny Football every second, with ESPN selling us a bill of goods or trying to, is that, they're not here every day. And the guys like Steve Dorshuk, like Bud Shaw, the ones who really understand football, you got to read and listen to them. You got to, because that's the only way you're going to know if you're not out there, if you're not privy to the real practice and know how a real practice works and know what to expect and know who to watch and all that. You can only go on what people are going to tell you. And how are they going to tell you? You're going to listen to the radio. And most of the radio hosts, the commercial radio hosts, they tell you, Johnny Manziel, he's going to take us to the Super Bowl. Really? Really? Us? Come on, man. So anyway, that's the whole problem with the Browns. Let's strip away all this extraneous stuff and just look at it for what it is. It's a young quarterback in Manziel who says he wants to be great. Show me. It's a young quarterback in Brian Hoyer who says he wants to be the leader of this team. Show me. It's the Cleveland Browns who say, play like a Brown. Show me. I'm not being credulous in any way. I'm not giving any breaks, any credits until you show me something. And when they show me something, I'll say it. I'm just as easily to give out kudos as I am to, say that this team isn't working properly. That's who I am. That's what I do. If I'm wrong, I'll say it. I don't care about being wrong. I just want them to get it right because I hate covering bad football.
That's it.
That's what it is. And for the last 15 years, I've covered bad football.
You got that right,
really.
Man.
Even when it was good, it was bad. Even when it was good, people were telling me, well, Derek Anderson is going to be the greatest What? What? When they win, it wasn't because of Derek Anderson. And when they lose, guess what? It was because of Derek Anderson.
Yep.
So I understood that Derek Anderson wasn't the future. And so even in good times, we've had messy football, and I hope the messiness comes to an end. Get a quarterback in here who has the requisite skills, size, skill, intelligence, knows how to take his butt home at night and study his playbook and come back the next day and work on his weaknesses. That's a guy that you put on the practice squad or that you draft in the way late rounds who has all of the physical gifts you want. Now, can you work with the football stuff? That's what you want to do. There's not that player on this team that's not a midget. Connor Shaw is short. Brian Hoyer is short. Johnny Manziel is short. And Rex Grossman is nothing and short. So you got four quarterbacks who I'm taller than. All right? I'm taller than all four quarterbacks. All right? I'm legitimately 6'2". There's not one of those guys who are 6'2". I like Brian Hoyer. If Brian is listening, or you know Brian, hey, what's up, Brian? I like Brian Hoyer. All right, bottom line. But I'm going to tell you, they're all short. Now, can Brian Hoyer be the guy? I think so, but I don't think we should expect a superstar. His performance will dictate that. His preparation will dictate that. And from all I've heard, he is that performance and preparation guy. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, with Hoyer, I'm with you. I think that the diagram is the Cincinnati game last year with the defense backing it up and being stout, and this year being able to run the ball. Hoyer running a couple of long scoring drives, not turning the ball over. That's going to be the formula for the way they're going to go into this season. You know, I agree with you there. And if he can just do that, if he can, you know, I hate that term game manager because that's not a bad thing at all, and so many times people use it like it is.